There's a couple more of the phase 3 webinars that are going to be after hours. So I think, let me just make sure.
But if you can please send me the previous ones, all the ones that are done during the business hours, you know.
So the phase one slides, they've already been sent. Those came from benefits at priviahealth.com.
As an email? I don't think so. I got an email like that.
That was sent on November 28th.
Okay. All right. Let me go back and see.
Okay.
November 28th. Okay. Thank you.
Is very good. The screenshot. The resolution is very good. So later when you cut and only keep portion also, the resolution still good.
Lee.
Hey, Bree, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Still doing well.
Long days, long days.
Yes.
we'll give people another minute or two to dial in. There's probably about 15 people registered for this evening.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can you see the PowerPoint on the screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just as a test, seeing how we're waiting here, can you see that Word document?
Yep.
Perfect.
You're a pro.
It just took a little practice.
Okay, we can go ahead and get started, and if people join in, and I am going to record this one. So, but again, don't let that scare you from asking questions as we go through this, because chances are you will have questions that somebody else will, and it will be good for the recording as well. So I'm Bria LaSalle. I think I've met most of you, and Lee Sherman from Empower, our client services manager, is going to walk everyone through how to use Empower and the Plan Services Center, which is what Care Center administrators, so whoever handles your payroll, she's going to walk you through how to add participants, just the general functionality of the website. So I'll turn it over to you, Lee.
Thanks so much, Bree. Hi, everyone. My name is Lee Sherman. You might remember me from the Phase 1 meetings. I am the Senior Client Manager here at Empower, and I would be your contact for any questions regarding our website in the future. Today, we are just going to go over a few things in regards to our website. We will be talking about the employee forms, how to add a new employee, how to edit an existing employee. Also, we'll be talking about the payroll process and some reports. So I'm just going to pull up the Plan Service Center. So when you have your login IDs established, when you log in, you will see this home screen, which will show you all of the assets and participants within the entirety of the Privia retirement plan. Just know that once you do start pulling up participants, you'll only be able to see the participants within your particular care center. This is really the only place on our website that you'll see the entirety of some Privia information. So first we're going to talk about forms, and the forms are located on the left-hand side of the screen under participants, and then you would click employee forms. The form that you'll want to give your employees is down at the bottom, and it's called the Paycheck Contribution Election Form. This is a form that they would complete that would indicate what their deferral percentage or dollar amount will be. And that's either for the pre-tax or Roth contributions. Even if they choose not to participate in the plan, they don't want anything coming out of their paycheck, you would still ask that they complete this form and just indicate 0. And that's just for audit purposes, year-end compliance testing, that kind of thing. You just want to make sure that you have this on file. This is a form that you would collect from them and update your payroll records so that the correct amount of money is being deducted from their paycheck. Are there any questions about the paycheck contribution election form?
No.
All right. And we also have the enrollment form, which I'm trying to find right now. Bear with me just a second. There we go. The participant enrollment form is another type of form that can be given to a participant to enroll in the plan. It's a little bit more robust because on this form, it does have an area for the participant to choose investment elections. Most of the time, you would add the employee to our website yourself, give them the paycheck contribution form, and then they would go online and choose their own investments. Every now and again, though, you might run into someone who just doesn't want to log in for whatever reason. So in that situation, you can give them this form and they can complete it, indicating their deferral percentage, but also choose their investments. The third form that you'll be using often is called the beneficiary designation form. And this is a form that you would have the employee complete. And you would have them complete this whether or not they're going to be deferring anything from their paycheck, because even if they're not, they'll still have safe harbor contributions and profit sharing money. So they will, at some point, most likely have an account balance. So having them complete this form is a good idea. This particular form, you would want to send back to Empower, and we will update their beneficiary designations on our end. And that information can be seen online in their account when they log in. The paycheck contribution form does not come back to Empower. That is something that you would keep in their employee files. Does anyone have any questions about those forms? Okay. To get the forms back to Empower, you would, again, on the left-hand side under Participants, click on Upload Documents. You have a choice to choose either multiple participants or a single participant. Sometimes you might be sending us more than one beneficiary designation form, so you would just stick with multiple participants. Your document type would be participant forms. You would select the file to upload, so it'll just pull up your share drive on your computer, and then you would upload it and then click this blue button that says upload down here. That will get the form over to Empower. And it'll take us maybe about 5 to 7 business days to process, and then the participants' beneficiary designations would be seen on the website. Any questions about uploading the forms?
Can we upload multiple, employees at the same time, or we have to do individually, or?
No, you can certainly upload multiple employees at the same time, and you would just use this option here, multiple participants.
Okay.
Yep. We try to make it as easy as possible. Once someone is hired at your care center, you would want to enter their information into our website. And that is done also on the website under participants. You'll see an option to add employee. So I am just going to pull up those instructions. I unfortunately don't have the same level of access that you do as a care center representative. So I'm not able to walk you through screen by screen with that, but I do have screenshots. So over on the left-hand side of the screen, as I had shown under participants, you would click add employee. You would first enter in their social security number, verify the social security number, and then click continue. On the next screen after that, you would enter in their address information. It just kind of goes into more in-depth census data or indicative data, they call it. One thing I will mention is that we need at least an email address or a phone number. So definitely just one or the other, or both, preferably. And that is for security purposes. When the participants attempt to log into the website, they will be asked to either receive a code through a text message, a phone call, or via email. So that one of those fields is necessary. At the bottom of that screen, you are asked if the participant needs any rollover assistance. And that is if you happen to know if they have any assets with a previous employer, or possibly an IRA that they want to roll into their account within the Privia retirement plan. Sometimes you might not know. Oh, yes.
Can you zoom, so at the bottom right of your Word document, there's a little scroll button or scroll. Can you zoom in? It's super duper tiny. Keep going.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm so sorry.
There
How's
you go.
that better?
That looks good.
Okay, perfect. And I'm just gonna scroll back here real quick in case you didn't see it. This is where you would enter in the social and the last name and click continue. And on this screen is where you would enter in their address, email, phone number. And right down here is where the rollover assistance fields are. Most of the time, I don't necessarily think that you'll know if they have outside assets, and that's perfectly fine. You would just mark that button and click continue. I will say that if you find out in the future that a participant needs assistance with a rollover, they can definitely call our participant information center and get the assistance at that point. We're always happy to help participants to roll in assets. And then after clicking continue, you'll be brought to the eligibility screen. And so this eligibility screen will default to yes. I believe it's part-time employees, Bree, is that right? Who potentially could be ineligible? Anyone
Yes.
working less than 20 hours per week?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, perfect. If you have any employees that are considered part-time or working less than 20 hours per week, you would change that eligibility code to no. And then just update the ineligibility reason code. And even though they are ineligible, it is a good idea to have their information in our system. After that, you would click continue. And the next screen will bring you to the compensation information. So you may have salary employees or hourly employees, and you would just indicate that here. If it's, salary, just enter in their annual amount, or if they're hourly, you can enter in their hourly rate. And then you would click continue. On this next screen, it asks kind of a lot of information. Really, the only thing that we need here is the hire date. If for some reason you are entering in a participant who was recently terminated, you can enter in a termination date here. It doesn't come up very often, but I figured I would mention it. And at that point, you would click continue. And on the next screen is where you would indicate your care center. We here at Empower call them divisions, but we do know that they are technically care centers. So this is an important part because if you enter in the wrong care center or division, you actually won't have access to that participant's account. If you do find, though, that you've moved too quickly past this screen or something along those lines, accidentally entered in the wrong division, you can either contact me via email or telephone, or you can reach out to Bree and her team at benefits@priviahealth.com. We'll just update the division. It's a very easy fix. At that point, you would click continue after you enter in the division. And that will bring you to another screen in regards to My Total Retirement. My Total Retirement is a service that Empower offers that will help participants choose their investments based on their retirement goals. There is a fee for this service, though, so it's of their choosing. I don't think that you would ever enroll someone in My Total Retirement unless, they've completed the enrollment form and they've indicated that on the form and you are manually entering that information from the form. I think more often than not, you're going to continue without My Total Retirement. And that comes to the investment screen. Privia has default investment allocations established for participants. And so here down at the bottom, you would click on continue using default allocation. That will set up their investments to what Privia has in the account as the default allocations, because any assets we get do need to be applied to an investment. The final screen will just let you know that you have entered or successfully entered the participant. You should see a blue button that says done. I will note that if you don't see the blue button that says done, that means that you most likely have entered the participant into a division, not yours though. So the information isn't lost, it's still there, it's just that they are associated to a different division. So if ever you come to this screen and you don't see the blue button that says done, definitely reach out to Bree or I and we will update that employee to the correct division. Does anyone have any questions about how to add a participant?
Yes, I have a question. So if one employee that is employed and after that terminate and after that rehire, so the date of the they start the employment, we should put the first or the second one.
Bree, I believe she would put the second, the rehire date. Would you agree with that?
It depends. That's kind of a tricky situation because are you talking about somebody that has currently worked for, or has worked for you in the past and you recently rehired, or is this a hypothetical for a future employee?
For an employee that we already rehired. Suppose like
Okay.
one employee was employed with us in, let's say that in beginning of the year, January to March. After that, she said that she cannot be available with us and then terminate. But then after that, she figure out and again rehire and continue to work with us like from August till now. So in that situation, which date I should put first one or the second one?
So in that situation, I would use the second date because you're not participating in the plan yet.
Okay.
But if she's currently employed by the practice, then, you know, she's gonna come across on the census file that you're going to send. So
The
when
census
you're
file I
adding,
saw on in the census file it have that rehire date, but when add the participant here, I do not see it. That's why I have a question.
okay, so on the census file, go ahead and put all dates that you can. And
Mhm.
then any future employee that you might need to add to empower. Let's say you've terminated somebody now and you are rehiring them. At that point, you're still going to want to use the original date of hire unless it's been more than 5 years. So if the person's been gone for more than 5 years from the practice, then that's when you use the new date.
Okay. And as we talk about the empower census file, if an employee work less than 20 hours per week, do I need to put in that file or I don't have to?
No, if they're working less than 20 hours a week, then you do not need to include them on the census file.
Thank you.
Yep. Dr. Combo, do you have a question?
Yes, so with the census file, so you will be able to add those employees, and this is basically if we have another employee we need to add. Is that what we are doing?
Yes, this is for all future hires that are not going, you know, once you send the census file to me, anybody you hire after that census file, this is the process you would use to add them to Empower.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that before. This process of adding a participant is definitely only after the census file has been received and those participants are in our system. If you hire anyone after that, that's when you would use this process to add an employee. Great. Any other questions? Okay. We'll move on to editing a participant. You know, you may have participants in your plan who change their address, or perhaps, you know, they leave employment and you need to add the termination date. On the left-hand side of the screen, under participants, you would click search employee. I will say that for your access, it will default to your division. I am going to pull up the test division. So at this point, if you're looking to make an update, you can either click on search, which will pull up all of the participants in your plan, or you can enter in their last name or their social security number, whatever information you have in order to find them. Once they pull up on the screen, you would just click on their name and it will pull up their account. This is kind of a high level information here. And I will just mention that this is all fake information, fake data. So we're not, you know, breaching anybody's social security number or anything like that. This will show you their account balance by money type. It will also show transactions here. If you click on details, you are able to see all of their transactions. This gentleman actually doesn't have any. So it'll take just a minute to pull up, I'm sorry. If he did have transactions, you would see them there. It would be things like contributions, distributions, dividends, anything like that would appear on this screen. But to edit information such as a address or a date of termination, you would click on the tab that says Employee Detail, and you would scroll down to these 4 quadrants here, is where all of the information is stored. On my access, it doesn't show, but on your access, you would have a link here that would say Edit. You can click on Edit and then make the changes, such as adding a termination date, or there would be an edit link right here under contact information, and that's where you can edit the address or telephone number. One thing I will mention is that you would not be able to edit a social security number. If for some reason you entered, just it was off by a digit or something along those lines, you would not be able to edit that. You would just contact Bree or I, and we would let you know how to update that social security number. Are there any questions about how to edit an employee? Okay. So the next topic we're going to discuss is payroll and how to submit contributions. The first thing that you would want to do is click on payroll and then view banking information. You will see your division number and name up here in the right-hand corner. And here, where it currently says not identified, you would actually see a link there that says add. You would click on add and enter in your bank's routing number and your account number. Our system is intuitive enough to pull up the bank name using the routing number that you provide. This information is instant. There's no pre-note or waiting time for you to use your bank account information that you've set up. You are able to set up the bank account and send contributions to us the same day. When contributions are sent to us, we will debit your bank account on file, however much the contributions total. So after setting up your bank account, and you only have to do that one time unless there's a change, you would come over again underneath payroll, click on enter payroll, and this is what we call the guided payroll process. This is the easiest process to submit contributions for smaller care centers. It's a 4-step process. It is very easy, and you would just manually enter in the contribution amounts, which we'll go through right now. It's going to take just a minute to pull up. And while I'm waiting for that, actually, I will show, during phase 1, Bree and Kyle had talked about having to send the safe harbor contributions and the 1.4% profit sharing contribution. So I did just make a little grid here that details how those figures calculate. In this example, John Smith, his gross pay, and again, as an example, is $1,500. He has a 5% pre-tax contribution rate, which calculates to a $75 deferral from his paycheck. The safe harbor amount would be $45, and the profit sharing contribution amount would be $21. Just as an example, I thought that I would show this. Does anyone have questions about the safe harbor contributions or the profit sharing contributions? Okay. So it looks like the website pulled up. So after hitting enter payroll, you'll see this screen. This is where you choose your payroll date. And we're just going to choose today's date. This will always default to your particular division. Again, I'm going to choose the test division. And then in the last space provided on this page is where you would enter in the total of all of the contributions that you're going to send over. So if you are sending over Roth, pre-tax, and safe harbor contributions at the same time, you would total those all up and put that amount here. After that, you just click continue, and that will bring you to step 2. In step 2 is where you are choosing the money types that you're going to be sending over. So most likely you'll be sending over employee before tax. There's a Roth option, maybe loan payments, safe harbor contributions, and then there's the profit sharing contributions. One thing I'll mention, just because I see it every now and again, and it sometimes questions pop up. You may see a money type here called employer profit sharing / merger, something along those lines. Usually merger is in the title of it. You can just disregard those. That is, just a different care center. We're working on something internally, but unfortunately our system will always show that money type for all of the different care centers. So after marking the boxes for the money types, you would click continue. And that's going to pull up a screen where you're able to see the participants in your care center. And that's when you would enter in the dollar amounts that you are submitting for them. And as you may remember on that first screen, I did enter in the expected contribution total of $1. However, the actual total of the contributions that I've just entered is $3. This is in red just as an indicator that the two amounts don't match. And that's not necessarily ideal, but it is okay. It is just a way to help prevent any type of errors. When you're keying in contribution amounts, typically they're not whole dollars, and it is easy to have a typo. And sometimes this money source total and the expected contribution total amounts don't match, and that's a good indication that you do have a typo. So after entering in the contribution amounts, you would click Save and Continue to Contribution Processing. One thing I will mention in regards to the expected total and the actual totals is we will only ever pull or debit the amount that you have actually entered in for contribution amounts. So this is just kind of a validation screen. At this point, you would click continue. And on this next screen is where you would see any type of rejects that may have occurred. So for instance, this one, I entered a loan repayment amount, and this participant does not have a loan. I may actually have to go back a screen. I'm sorry, bear with me just a second. We're just going to delete his record. I can.
You have to click the delete selected record. So you have to check him off and then the button to
Oh.
it.
Thank you so much. Perfect. So we're going to continue to the final contribution stage again. And on this screen is where you'll need to verify the money types again. They just want to make absolutely sure that you are submitting the correct money types and the correct contribution amounts. So you will need to click those two boxes to verify the money types. Down below, they will show some warning messages. So we have this warning message that is in regards to the actual total that doesn't equal the expected total that I entered on that first screen. And again, that's okay because we're going to pull this $2, which is what I entered, as opposed to the dollar, which I originally entered as an expected total. That's just, again, a way to alleviate any kind of typos. The next warning is in regards to the effective date, which is listed right here. This is the date that the contributions will actually post to the participant accounts. Sometimes you may know already what the contribution amounts will be, but you're going to be on vacation next week. So you do have the ability to post date these contributions if needed. After that, you would mark the box indicating that you have read and accept all the warnings and notices on that page. And I don't have the final approval, so let me just pull up a screenshot over here of what you will see. Once you click that box, you will see a button that says complete transaction. After that, you will see this next screen indicating that the transaction is completing, and it'll ask you to wait. It's usually pretty quick. If, for some reason it's not popping up, if you just wait a minute, you should get the completion and the continue button. I will say that any contributions submitted online and are confirmed prior to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be applied to participants on that very same day. And usually you would see the money deducted from your bank accounts via ACH in about 2 to 3 business days. And this is the final confirmation. At this point, you do have the option to print this, and I do recommend printing it and just keeping it in your file. I will say that if you opt not to print it, we cannot recreate this page specifically, but there are definitely other ways that you're able to confirm that contributions have been posted. We do have reports and other things that you'll have access to in order to confirm. Once you do confirm that, you'll be brought to pending contributions. The pending contribution area, once you have submitted the contributions, will look like this. You do have until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you felt as though it was submitted in error and you wanted to cancel it. You would just click this red X here, and that would cancel those transactions in its entirety. That would then allow you to resubmit it, if you made some kind of error. If you, submit something in the morning and then realize that it was incorrect, you are able to go to the website, click payroll, pending contributions, and look for this. If for some reason you don't see this particular line item, it means that the contributions have gone through. And at that point, if you do need to cancel them, you can just reach out to Bree or I, and we'll work kind of behind the scenes to see if we're able to cancel them at that point, or if we need some type of correction. Also in pending contributions, you'll see this screen, possibly. And what this screen indicates, or what this line item means, is that you may have started submitting the contributions, but maybe the phone rang, something along those lines, and you did not get to finish submitting those contributions. It'll look like this. So you'll see the trash can instead of that red X. If you want to go ahead and, delete those and just start again or not at all, you can hit the trash can and that'll just delete those pending contributions. Or if you would like to finish up where you left off, you can click the reference number, which is also a confirmation number, and that will pull up the listing of the participants and the amounts that you had already entered. Any questions so far?
So do we have to enter this every payroll?
Yes, you would submit contributions during every payroll. It's preferred that you get the contributions over to us within 3 business days after the payroll end date. And that just ensures timely processing so the auditors don't think that you've submitted late contributions.
Does your software connect to like QuickBooks or something? Because this is a lot of work.
Yeah, if you have a lot of participants, it can be, time consuming. Definitely this process works for the smaller care centers. We do offer 2 other types of contribution submission. One is, a PDI file import, and that's if your payroll vendor wants to generate a file, a contribution file that you import yourself through our website. Just minimize that. We have an option to upload payroll file. And that's how you would go through that process. I will say that it takes maybe about 30 days or so for us to format our system in order to read that payroll file. So if that is something that you're interested in doing.
Yeah, can we individually just upload like 4 or 5 employees? We just go and upload a PDF file for the paycheck.
Usually for 4 or 5 participants, you would want to enter them manually, as I had just shown. You know, but we can certainly look into setting up a file import. I would just need to receive that payroll file, you know, prior to you being able to actually upload it. We do have to format our system in order to read, you know, the social and the money types and the amounts.
And then it can, so the profit sharing, let's say all the employees don't want to contribute. And in that case, we just have to do the profit sharing and the safe harbor, which is totally going to be 4.3%, I believe. So in that case, all that needs to be added is the amount of gross pay, right?
Yes, that could be done one time only. Is that correct, Bree? If no one in the care center is contributing and they're only going to be sending the safe harbor and profit sharing, can that all be done at once at year end?
Yeah, that can be done. I just don't, I have seen situations where care centers get into that pattern and then somebody does decide to make deferrals into their account.
Yeah,
And
anh đăng
so-
liền trong cái webinar này, record for you này.
If you're only logging, so
Yeah.
there's a couple of issues there. If you're only logging into the system once a year to make that contribution,
Yeah,
your
anh check out. And just now
credentials
I
to
confirm
empower,
that. And
they
I ask them
lock
that.
up
So
after
I
90
ask them in
days
the
of
confirm
not being
in the webinar.
used.
Yeah.
So
That's
you,
true.
Okay, yeah.
you need to, I would recommend making at least the 3% safe harbor contribution to everybody's account if you're able to on a per pay period basis, or at least a monthly basis, so that you're in the system, you're comfortable with the system, and it becomes a routine. Especially since your credentials, they
Yeah,
get
they do
suspended
terminate.
after 90 days of no use. And then that takes another 5 to 7 business days to get them reinstated. So it really should be routine. I understand that it is an extra step in processing payroll, but once you get used to it, once you are in there and making the contributions for your employees, because I don't want you to not inform your employees that there's a 401k that they can participate in because it's more work for you. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm not saying that that's where this conversation is going, but I have seen that be the case. And then participants or employees say that they want to make deferrals into the plan, but they're not being made in a timely manner. So, then that gets into Department of Labor issues. So we don't want to go down that path. So if none of your employees want to make deferrals, then that's okay. But like I said, it should be part of your routine to at least make the safe harbor and profit sharing contributions on a somewhat regular basis instead of an annual basis.
And then, yes, it can be done annually as well. If somebody, let's say if I want to contribute at the end of the year extra money, so I can just go and hit my limit at the December, right, month. I don't have to do it the whole year. And I can do all the pre-tax at the end of the year, the exact amount that I want to pay, to meet the max available, right?
If you have the compensation at the end of the year to do that, then yes, you can. It has to be remitted before December 31st. But if you have it withheld from your Privia medical group compensation every pay period, it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to just let it sit in your care center's bank account and not be invested. So if, you know, if you wait for one lump sum deferral amount from your guaranteed payments from Privia Medical Group to make that $22,500 or $30,000 if you're 50 or over, you want to make that all at once at the end of the year, then that's fine. You're within your rights to do that. But if you're having it withheld every pay period, it doesn't make sense to have it just sit as cash. So
I think the issue that we'll end up facing is that our employees everybody's on hourly. Some months they work more hours, some months they work less hours, you know. So the salary is not fixed every month basically. Like our pay period is every 15 days and then people work according to their hours, you know. So it's gonna be different every 2 weeks. Every paycheck is different than the other paycheck basically.
Yeah, so the amount that's going to be deducted from those paychecks might be different. You know, maybe one week they have $21, possibly the next week they have 22. For every pay period, you would enter in the actual dollar amount that was withheld from their paycheck.
And if we do like at the end of the month and submit two paychecks, that should be okay. Because every 15 days, that's going to be a lot more work than at least doing once a month, you know.
you have to make if it's a deferral and you have employees who are trusting you as their employer to withhold the money from their paychecks and remit it to Empower to their accounts, then it has to be done within 3 business days of the check date. So you can't do it just once a month.
I will mention that the IRS does have very strict regulations as far as when the contributions should be invested.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Were there any other? Oh, it looks like there's another question.
The deferrals by employees, does that go automatically? Like I use ADP, so I have to put information into the ADP and you know whatever percentage they want to defer will go automatically to Empower, or how do we do that? I mean, what's the step in that?
Sure. So it sounds like what you are describing is what we call a payroll bridge. A payroll bridge is the automatic transmission of the contribution details from a payroll vendor over to Empower.
Okay.
And that's typically set up for 20 or more participants that you're submitting contributions for. I do know that the different payroll vendors have fees for this particular service. What those actually are, I'm not positive, but I believe that most of them do have a fee for that. And it is something that we can set up. It will take a little bit of time. Usually it is about 30 days. Similar to the PDI file, you would just want to let Bree or I know that you would like to set up a payroll bridge or a PDI file for your contributions, and we can loop in our implementation team to get that started.
And it also depends on the product of ADP. I know that a lot of our care centers use ADP Run, and that is not a product that a bridge can be established with. So I think I have.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of restrictions with the different vendors themselves and then the different products that each vendor offers. So it is possible that we may not even be able to set up a bridge, even if you have more than 20 employees contributing.
So if they want to defer like X amount, like 5% of their their gross pay, so what will I do on my end? I will just hold that from my account and pay it to Empower. How does that happen?
Exactly. Yeah, so once you process payroll, you'll want to print a payroll summary report or, look at a payroll summary report, log into Empower, and then your employee, you'll see what their deferral amounts were. You'll log into Empower and walk through the process that Lee just demonstrated. Enter the payroll information, so the check date, the expected contribution total. So if you're going to be making the safe harbor contributions, the profit sharing contributions on a per pay period basis, along with the deferrals, that expected contribution total is going to be all three of those amounts totaled together. And then, Lee, do you want to go click on the remit details link right there? Because that'll take us back to, so this will, you would hard key all of the amounts into everybody's respective columns. So safe harbor, before tax, Roth, whatever it is, and then process the payroll each pay period.
So, but that will not reflect on the ADP that the payroll summary the employee gets. So that will not be reflected, right? In any way.
Why would that not be reflected? The safe harbor and the profit sharing?
No. I'm talking about the ADP, whatever information they get as a paycheck. That this was the gross amount. This is the tax deducted, and this is the deferred. So that will not be reflected in the ADP because it's not connected to Empower. So how will when I used to work for other employers, I would get that this is the deferral amount, this is the gross pay, and so forth. But that summary I will not get on ADP, right? Or
you should get that once you process the payroll for that pay period. It should show you everybody's gross compensation, what their deferrals are for that period, and even show a year to date. So that way, that payroll summary that you've run has everybody's deferral amounts.
okay.
I have a quick question. So if I put defer on the Privia held accounts, money which is being, taken from our bank and held, will Privia submit that directly to this system or?
No. Are you talking about you as a physician and your guaranteed payments?
Yes.
No. So your deferrals will get sent back to the care center's operating account through the funds flow process, and you are responsible for remitting your deferrals the same way you're responsible for remitting your employees' deferrals.
I see.
Because it comes from your bank account.
I see. And then we use QuickBooks. My CPA uses QuickBooks to do this. So the QuickBooks also connects to this software or not?
Yeah. Oh. No, sorry. Go ahead, Lee.
I was just going to say, no, it does not connect. I don't know if you're able to generate some type of contribution report from QuickBooks. If so, we can certainly look at setting up a PDI file so that you're able to import that information instead of manually keying the contribution amounts as I had demonstrated before. I do just want to mention that setting up that PDI file does take a little bit of time. So I would need to know in advance if that's something that you would like to do.
And if you want to get your accountant to make these contributions, since they're processing your payroll, then I would have that discussion with them and we can get them set up with credentials to Empower for your division so that they can make the contributions.
Right. So this is called PDI files, and then and what was the second terminology you used about this so that I can let you know?
Sure. It was called Payroll Bridge.
Payroll Bridge. And this
Payroll Bridge is directly from a payroll vendor to Empower.
And the software that you use is called Empower, or your company is called Empower, right?
Correct. Yep, our company is Empower. One thing I'll just quickly mention about Payroll Bridge is that even if the contributions are coming directly from the payroll vendor into the Empower website, you would still be responsible to log on to our website and actually fund and confirm those contribution amounts. So it's not completely hands off.
And how much is the fee associated at your end to do this automatically?
There is no fee associated with it on our end, but there is most likely a fee associated with the payroll vendor.
Payroll vendor, okay.
You know, and again, we don't necessarily have a bridge available for every payroll vendor or every payroll vendor's product type.
I see. Okay. Let me touch base with my CPA and see how we can work on this one. You know.
Okay. Yeah. I think, you know, just in my experience, the smaller care centers that have less than 20 participants contributing to the plan, the manual process that I had just shown really is the way to go. It is the, you know, quickest, easiest, way to get the contributions over to us.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, we'll look into that. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right. I know we're running out of time. So I will just show real quick the reports section of our website. Again, on the left-hand side, you would click reports and then standard reports. We do offer a lot of reports. You'll mainly be going into the most frequently used tab. If you do find a report that you use often, you can mark it with a star. That'll add it to my favorites tab, so you can just go right to that tab and use it in the future. The reports that I use most frequently is the participant data extract report. That will pull in all of the indicative data or census data that we have on your participants, like their name, date of birth, date of hire, address. And that's just kind of used to make sure that all of the information in your participants' accounts is accurate and up to date. Usually you might run that if you were just kind of doing a quick little audit on all of the information. I also use the participant deposit detail report. And that's a report that you can generate for any particular time frame. So you'll enter in a start date and an end date, and that'll show you all of the contributions by participant, by payroll date, by money type for that particular time frame. Again, that's kind of used when you're auditing the contributions that you've submitted to us. Another report I use a lot is called the Plan Contribution Summary by Money Source. It's a similar report to the participant deposit detail, but much more high level. It doesn't break it down by participant. It does, however, break it down by payroll date and money type for a particular time frame. One of the reports that you'll use frequently or possibly every quarter is the participant loan detail report. Participants are able to take one loan at a time from the Privia retirement plan if they have assets in their account, specifically if they have their own assets in their accounts. They are able to take a loan, and usually about every quarter or so, you may want to run this report just to make sure that you are deducting loan payments for every active loan for the participants in your care center. I will mention that we do send what's called a feedback file for any loans or new loans or paid off loans that a participant takes. So every week, for those that we have set up to receive the feedback file, they will get an email that looks similar to this. And it's basically just a heads up that you have a loan feedback file waiting for you on the website. I know this is a little cryptic, but if you look in the subject line, it will say loan file feed and that it contains 2 records. And that's your indication that you should go out to the website and pull the loan report, because some people have requested a loan and you'll need to find out who it is, and you'll need to set up the loan payments in your payroll system. When you get that email, you would go out to the website, you would click on reports, and then my reports, and what you'll see, can't seem to get this right here. There we go. It's called a trial loan detail report. Once you click on that report, you'll see the participant's name, the loan payment amount, and when those loan payments should be started or deducted from their paycheck and remitted over to Empower. The loan payments are sent over to us along with the contributions that you're submitting. So it's kind of all just done at one time, but making those loan payments timely is important. If the loan payments aren't made in a timely fashion, the loan balance does become taxable income to the participant, and not all participants will tell you that they've taken a loan. So just in case you miss one of the loan feedback files, that's when it's a good idea to run that participant loan detail report at least once a quarter. Is there any questions about the reports? Are there any questions about anything else we may have gone over today? Well, thank you all very much for your time. Bree, I will turn it back over to you.
All right. Thanks everybody for your time this evening. And if I have not received your information for the data request that was sent, it's due back tomorrow. If you're unable to get it to me, please just let me know, and when I can expect it at least, because it will take 5 to 7 business days for Empower to get everything established. So the sooner I have the information from you or your care center, the earlier we can get it into Empower and contributions can start for your staff starting in January.
Is this what you're referring to? Is the paycheck information or the information about the employees? Sorry, I don't remember seeing an email on that, but if you can send me details, and I'll reply that email and send all the information you guys need. Thank you.
Yep, I'm forwarding it to you now.
Thank you.
Right, and if you have any questions about the information that I'm requesting, just please respond to that email and I will answer them. But yeah, we do need all of the information requested, and I will be in touch. I'll be following up with the care centers that have not turned it in on Friday. So if you have any questions between now and then, just let me know. But thanks again. I really appreciate everybody's time this evening. And Lee, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a great night.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye-bye.